Hey, guys. So for context, we are a family of 4. It's me, my husband, and our 2 kids. My husband, 38M, and I, 36F, have been together for almost 11 years, married for 8. And my mother-in-law, Pam, has been a major pain for all 11 of those years. So far, she had been tolerable, so we had been tolerating her because she had been very helpful at the beginning of our marriage and we felt kind of indebted to her. And that's why, no matter how ridiculous she would act, we would always put up with her. After all, she had been there for us during our hardest times. On top of that, she was a widowed woman since my father-in-law had passed away a couple of years back, so my husband felt bad, leaving her all alone. We would spend time with her whenever we could, but most of the time, we're just relieved when we were not around her. It's not that she was a horrible person, it's just knew the best and was never ready to hear anybody else's opinions. You know, the kind of know-it-all old people who think it is the factor that beats overall intelligence? That would be Pam, but because she had been there for us initially, we tried to be there for her because now she needed us more than ever. And she doted on her grandkids, so that was all the more reason for us to go see her at least twice or maybe thrice a month. My husband and I would just try to stay polite and nod along whenever she would say things that we did not necessarily agree with, just because we did not want to get into fights with her. We learned the hard way that arguing with her was not only futile but also riled us up as well. Now, however, I wish that I had taken a stand for the things that I believed, and when I had the chance to, because maybe then she wouldn't have done what she did. Coming to that, I had mentioned that I have 2 kids, a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. Both my kids love their grandma because unlike us, they don't really know how judgmental and conservative she is. To them, she's just their grandma who always gives them what they want and lets them run around the house without any restrictions. About a month ago, my husband and I had to attend a wedding out of town and our usual sitter had fallen sick at the very last minute, so we had to leave our kids with Pam. When we came back after 2 days and picked up our kids from Pam's house, the mood was very different from the time that we had dropped them off. We couldn't stay and chat with her that day because both our kids were clamoring to go home and we had sensed that something had gone wrong while they were staying with their grandma, because usually, we can't get them to leave, but this time, everything was different. While we were leaving, I also realized that the bag of clothes that I had packed was considerably lighter, but I did not think much of it. It was only when I got back home that I realized that most of the clothes that I had packed for my daughter were missing from that bag. I searched the other bags as well, but those clothes were nowhere to be found. So I asked my daughter about it, and she, very blankly, told me that her grandmother had thrown them all away and had said that she was going to wear more feminine clothes from now on. Suddenly, it all started making sense, but I couldn't believe that Pam would do such a thing because it was crazy even by her standards. I mean, sure, she would say ridiculous things all the time, but this was taking things too far. Clothes definitely don't come for free, and my husband and I generally try to buy expensive and sustainable clothes so they can last for a while. For Pam to throw it all away, not only was it a huge waste of money, but it was also just unacceptable because of the reason that she had done it. I told my husband about it immediately and we called her up and she did not even bother to deny it. She told us that she did not think it was a good idea for us to confuse our daughter by dressing her in clothes that did not fit her gender. For context, the clothes that I had packed for my daughter were mostly oversized boys' t-shirts, and loose shorts that also belonged to the boys section. We let our kids pick out their own clothes, and my daughter picked these out because they were more comfortable for her compared to the clothes from the girls' section. It's not that she only dresses in boys' clothing. She loves wearing dresses and skirts and glamming up a bit when she's going out to fancy restaurants with us, but for daily wear, she prefers comfort, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And it's definitely not confusing my kid, as Pam says. Both my husband and I were very upset, and we told her that she had no right to throw all those clothes away because they cost a lot of money, and now, we would have to go shopping again, even though these clothes would not even fit our daughter for long because she was still growing. We told Pam that we expected her to pay us the money that she owed us for throwing those clothes away, and we also wanted her to apologize, not just to us, but also to her grandkids, since they were very upset. At that point in time, we were willing to look past everything and give her a second chance, but she screwed it up by deciding to pick a fight with us. She told us that she was not going to give us any money and that she did not regret what she had done, since somebody had to do it because this generation had gone too soft when it came to parenting. Instead of apologizing, she doubled down on what she had said and done and claimed that she was saving my daughter from a future of gender confusion, and if I couldn't see what was good for her, that was not her fault. When we tried to argue with her, she brought up the fact that she had supported us in the initial years of our marriage, when we needed money because I was on maternity leave, and my company was not paying me and my husband's new business was not yet stable. And she was right, she had actually supported us. So we told her that we would pay her the amount that we owed her over the next couple of months until we were even, and right now, we would start by calculating and subtracting the amount of money that she had thrown away when she discarded our daughter's clothes. I also told her that she was now banned from our household and was not going to be able to see our kids anymore since she had clearly traumatized them. Then we blocked her before we could say anything else, and I spoke to my kids once again to find out more about what had happened, since I could understand why my daughter was upset, but I didn't know why my son was acting the same as well, since all his clothes and toys were intact. Eventually, we were able to find out that Pam had made rather a spectacle out of the incident, since she had called both our kids while she threw away the clothes that she did not approve of one by one. My daughter had started crying and my son tried to comfort her and stop his grandma from upsetting his sister, but of course, he was not able to do that, and Pam actually started yelling at both of them when they were crying, so they were even more traumatized. So both of them were very upset with her, and even while they were recounting this incident to us, both of them started crying. After that, there was absolutely no chance that I was going to allow Pam to have anything to do with our kids anymore, and my husband was and still is totally on my side. Once we had blocked her, she did not try to contact us, and we thought that she was going to leave us alone now. We had expected her to reach out within a week or so, but when that did not happen, we started to believe that she was done with us now. My husband and I had almost forgotten about her until a couple of days back when she visited us. My kids were not at home and were spending the day with my parents, lucky for us, otherwise, they would have to go through this ordeal once again. Anyway, both my husband and I were talking in the living room when the bell started ringing, and we could see from our windows that it was Pam who was standing outside. After some discussion, we decided to open the door, but not let her in because we wanted to know what she was here for. She did not waste any time. As soon as we opened the door, she handed us some papers and said that she was there to demand custody of her grandkids because we were clearly failing at the job of raising them well. She said that she had already spoken to her lawyer and had come up with an arrangement, that they would stay with her full time until my husband and I had paid back all the money that we owed her, and after that, we could have shared custody. She had assumed that it would take us a couple of years at the very least to put together the kind of money that she was demanding, because she not only wanted us to return all the money that she had helped us out with when we were struggling, but she also wanted my husband to pay her back whatever his parents had spent while raising him. Obviously, that was an exorbitant amount of money, and it would take us to pay off that kind of debt. That was not even the crazy part of it. To me, the crazy part was that she thought this was a completely normal thing to demand and say. My husband was too shocked to say anything, so I told her to get out and that if she did not, I would be calling the cops on her. I was literally not interested in wasting my time speaking to her or trying to explain that this was ridiculous. There was no point in doing any of that. True to character, she refused to leave and said that she would not be going anywhere until we had signed the paperwork with our lawyer, because she thought that what she was demanding was completely fair. She said that we were obviously not up to the task of raising 2 kids on our own since we had gone so soft. And that was all that I needed to hear. I immediately grabbed my phone and called the cops, and even then, she did not leave. She just stood there, refusing to budge, while I told her that I was going to file for a restraining order and make sure that she never got to see any of us ever again. In response to that, she said that she would like to see me try, because it was not like she had hurt me or tried to do anything bad to us, and she was going to make sure that I lost custody of my children. She was really pissing me off, but I only had to wait until the cops showed up and dragged her off our property. That's when she started losing her mind. She had to be taken away, kicking and screaming and cursing at us. I'm genuinely glad that our kids were not there to see that, because they had already been traumatized by her once. I was not about to allow it to happen once again. Now, I personally don't think that I did anything wrong by banning her in the first place or telling her that I would file for a restraining order against her. And even my husband is on my side, even though he had been quiet the entire time that his mother had been here, since he had been shocked to his core. However, the rest of my husband's entire family is against us right now. They think that I am being very ungrateful because I've completely forgotten about the fact that she was the only person who had been there for us when we were struggling to make ends meet while taking care of a newborn baby. But just because she had helped us out when we needed it, it does not mean that she has the license to run our lives. And I don't really know how difficult it is to understand for the rest of the family. Everyone has been badgering us relentlessly, telling us that it was really messed up for us to call the cops on her, especially when she just wanted to look out for us. Seriously, is this how people look out for each other now? By threatening to take their kids away from them until they return the money that they owe you? I don't buy it. My husband has obviously been the one who has been most affected by all of this, because earlier, he had pretty much been the gold standard for his family, and all of a sudden, everything had changed. Everyone is hating on him and blaming him right now, and he's been finding it very difficult to deal with, but I'm not really affected by it because, well, it's not exactly my family. I keep trying to convince him that what we are doing is the right thing to do, and he agrees with it. He hasn't said anything otherwise, but I can tell he's very upset. That's what's making me feel like I might be taking it too far. I don't know. I know for a fact that if we cut off Pam and actually do go ahead and file a restraining order against her, the rest of the family will cut us off as well. I'll be fine with it. I just don't know if my husband will be able to deal with it as well as I do. So now I want to ask Ida for wanting to file a restraining order against my mother-in-law. Update 1. Hey, so I decided to take the advice from the comments and spoke to my husband about what was going on with him. I had to try to speak to him earlier as well, but he kept insisting that he was alright and he would get over it eventually. Our kids had come back home and he was still not back in his element, so I was obviously getting worried. And last night, after the kids had fallen asleep, I finally decided to confront him and ask him what was really going on with him, because more than 2 weeks passed since our last interaction with his mother and we hadn't even filed a restraining order yet, because I don't know if he's okay with it or not. I told him that he could continue to pretend that everything was fine with him, but we had known each other for a really long time and I knew that he was not fine. I told him that in order for us to deal with the situation, we have to first acknowledge that there is something wrong right now and only then will we be able to fix it. So I told him that he needed to talk to me and he finally did. At first, he just looked really sad and I could see that he was silently crying while struggling to come up with the words, so I just sat by his side and comforted him as much as I could. My husband has always been very attached to his family, no matter what kind of people they are. I mean, who isn't? We all love our families, especially when they have only showered us with love and affection our entire lives. He had always been the darling of his family, and he told me that he was just finding it very difficult to deal with the fact that he might not be able to fix the situation with them ever again. Ideally, he would never have wanted a crisis like this to arise in the first place, but now that it had happened, there was no going back anymore. The reason he was actually sad was because he knew that he was going to have to cut them all out of his life. And he had already started the process, and it was not easy. It was actually quite depressing, so I could understand why he was so upset about it. He told me that so far, no matter how conservative and regressive his family had been, he has still been able to overlook all of it and how much they loved him, but right now, that did not seem enough. In fact, it did not even cut it. Because they had proven that when it came down to it, they valued their hollow principles more than they valued their relationships, and that was just sad. His entire family, including his mother, would rather control him rather than love him for who he is, and most of all, he was actually hurt by his mother's behavior. He said that so far, he had always accepted his mom the way she was. He had even gone so far as to try and understand why she had such awful opinions on certain things, and even though he did not agree with most of the things that she believed, he tried to be respectful of it. And she couldn't even extend that bare minimum courtesy to us. On top of that, she even expected us to put up with that sort of disrespect, at the cost of our kids as well. He also told me certain things that had happened in the past that he had never shared because he did not want to stress me out or make me upset. But apparently, after my daughter was born, Pam had told him that she would want me to quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom, even though she had always known how much I wanted to work. In my family, it's a matter of pride to make your own money, and I wanted to make people in my family, and most importantly, myself, proud, so it was very important for me to work. My husband told me that he had had to fight a lot with his mom to make sure that she did not say anything about it to me since I had just given birth and I was vulnerable. So he did not want her to make me upset by suggesting that I quit my job. He also told me that after I gave birth to our son, he had had to have the same argument with his mother once again, because this time, she was much more insistent that I should quit my job and look after the kids instead. And yet again, he had to stop her from speaking to me about this because he did not want me to be upset. But this time, he couldn't stop her. He told me that he was very upset with himself as well because he believed that he should have cut his mother off earlier rather than wait for so long until something awful happened. I finally hugged him after he was done talking. I told him that he was the best father, and we were good parents. We did not have anything to worry about. So far, he had tried to be a good son as well, but now, he had decided to be a good father, and there was nothing wrong with either of those things. Even though I had also tried to tolerate Pam to the best of my abilities because we were indebted to her, she had crossed a certain line and we were completely justified in wanting to break away from her. So I assured him that he was a good father and a good husband as well, since he had done the right thing by not telling me that I wanted me to quit my job after I had my kids. That would put me in a bad situation because, on the one hand, I would not have wanted to cut her off after everything that she had done for me, but on the other hand, I would have really hated being around her even more than I already did if she bugged me about quitting my job. Anyway, we were able to talk things out and he seemed to be in a considerably better mood this morning, so we are planning on going to the lawyer this evening and sorting things out. Update 2. Hey. So we spoke to the lawyer and asked him if we had grounds to file for a restraining order at the moment. Unfortunately, he had the same opinion that most people in the comments had, that we should refrain right now because we don't really have enough evidence to prove that she is a threat to us and our family. The only thing that she had done was show up at our house with paperwork and demand custody of our kids, and that's not really enough of a reason to ask for a protective order. He advised us to document all the interactions that we have with her from this point on, and if again we feel threatened by her, then we can definitely come to him. So that's what we are going to do. Ideally, obviously, we would not want her to bother us again, but if we are able to get her to stay away from us permanently, then I say bring it on. So far, it has only been my husband's family and his relatives texting him to tell him that he had failed as a son and stuff like that. But she hasn't reached out to us yet. We have blocked most of the people from his family who had taken her side, so right now nobody is bothering us. And either Pam is planning to do something big or she has given up, since it has been pretty silent from her end. Either way, I don't really care. Speaking to the lawyer gave me an insight, and I know for a fact that now, if she does anything, we can just record it and she will be legally ordered to stay away from us then. My husband is doing a lot better since the last update that I posted, and I'm very happy for him that he's finally finding it a bit easier to deal with what's going on. A lot of people also seem to be under the misconception that he had forced me to keep in touch with Pam for so many years, and I would just like to say, that's not true. It was a decision that both of us had made, that we would try to be there for her and tolerate her. Like I said, we were indebted to her, so we had to. I now understand that it was not a good decision, but it's done now. I just wanted to clarify that it was not something that my husband had forced me to do, both of us were equally a part of it. Anyway, if anything happens after this, I will let you guys know. Update 3, hi, guys. So in my last update, I had mentioned that Pam had not reached out to us after the last interaction that we had, and I had been speculating that she was probably planning to do something big. I was right, and I'm so happy that I predicted it, because I had thought she was going to do something dangerous, but instead, she made a complete and total fool out of herself in front of so many people that I can't even laugh out loud while typing this out. It's been close to 3 weeks since I originally posted here, so quite some time has passed since our last interaction with Pam. Last evening, we were watching a movie as a family when my phone started blowing up with notifications and messages all of a sudden. And then I turned to my husband, and I noticed that he was on his phone as well, so obviously the same thing was happening to him. After we went online, we realized that we had been tagged in a post by an anonymous account, which obviously belonged to Pam, who had posted pictures of our family with this caption: "This is what most people think what a normal family looks like." But if you look closely, you will notice that a lot of things are wrong here. First and foremost, you can tell that a woman is a working woman because of her business formal attire. My question is, when did we stop trusting our husbands to bring home enough money to raise our children and take care of all the household expenses? When did we start feeling the need to go out and look for jobs ourselves? Is it because the men of this generation are so feeble and weak? I wouldn't know, but you had better ask these people. But one thing is for sure, we need to do something about this situation quickly, because not only is this generation rotten to its very core, but they are spoiling the minds of the young ones as well. I mean, just look at the young daughter and what she's wearing. Back in our day, we used to dress our sons in such clothes, but now, it's anybody's guess. It's just a total disgrace, and this is why our country can't make any progress anymore. If we want to restore our society to its form of glory, we need to cut this out. Share this post if you agree with me and help me fix this family. If the rest of the post hadn't given it away already, the last line definitely did. It was obviously Pam, and I couldn't even be mad at her for posting something like this, because it was just so hilarious that she thought this was going to work. Clearly, this was her definition of a petition, which would be laughed out of each and every court in this world. When my phone started blowing up with notifications, I thought something terrible had happened, but most of the messages that I had received were from people who were laughing at this post and asking me if I had seen this yet or not. It was the same with my husband as well, and when we looked at each other after reading that post, I think we laughed for about half an hour straight because we just couldn't stop. Even the comments on that post were just hilarious, since a lot of our friends had seen that post because we had been tagged in it, and they were commenting with the funniest jokes. I know I don't have to, but I feel like you guys should be able to laugh along as well. I propose we hop in our time machines and go back to bartering with livestock, so we don't need two incomes anymore. Share this post if you agree with me. And another really funny one was this one: "I can't believe women are wearing such clothes. What's next? Dad's wearing leashes. Outrageous." I mean, obviously, it's all said in fun, and they were making fun of that ridiculous post, but we still made sure to take screenshots so we could send it to the lawyer. We are also going to reach out to her and demand that she take down the post, and if she gets aggressive, it's going to be great for us, because that'll just give us a reason to file for a restraining order and she will be done for. Update 4. Hi, everyone. So a little over 3 weeks ago, Pam made that really stupid post, and since then we have been able to get her to take it down. We filed for a restraining order against her a couple of days after that post. We called her up the day after she made that post and told her to take it down, but instead of doing that, she started cursing at us on the phone and said that she was going to make sure that we lost custody of our kids, and even if we didn't, she was going to ensure that they lived according to her, by hook or by crook, and that seemed like kind of a threat. So we had recorded that phone call, and we sent both that post and the recording of that phone call to our lawyer. And he told us that seemed like enough of a reason to file for a protective order, so we went ahead with it. And after fighting for it for almost 3 weeks, 2 days back, we were finally able to get a restraining order against her for 2 years, and I'm gonna count that as a huge win. Now, nobody from my husband's family is going to bother us anymore, and it's just going to be my kids and us. So we are quite happy about it.